Now we're recording. And welcome to another episode of the SSL. My name's Ryan. This is Typhoon. And today is a very busy day today. We are actually really jumping into the NHL. This is what the bulk of the show is going to be. We have lots of signings, lots to unpack. The draft is coming up at 7, which we will be doing a live show for that draft. So stay tuned. It's going to be a live feed from Facebook. It's going to be also a live feed from our YouTube page from the Seaway Sports Lounge. So please feel free to check out both channels on YouTube or on Facebook if you're in the groups. One will be Sports Talk. The other one will be Typhoon. What's the group name you have?
Crib of Hockey.
Crib of Hockey. So anybody on the Crib of Hockey, please feel free to check in with us. We're going to be having live coverage about the NHL draft. I have the feed here open so I can watch what's happening. Lots to unpack today. So let's just dive right into it. So Typhoon, we're doing headline time. That's usually our first one we do. So what is happening in the NHL today? And by the way, are you a Habs fan? I'm not sure, but I think you might be.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but are you sure? Because now he hates them. Just hates them. I think he's a Leafs fan.
100%.
100%, yeah. And I don't know if he likes Patrick Waugh. Not sure about that.
No,
but anyway.
Don't like that guy. He sucks.
I got to meet him, though. It was cool. But that's a story we'll save for another day. That was fun.
I got that.
Yeah. Well, I got a $2 bill signed, so I don't know about that. But anyway, you got that. That's pretty cool. That's awesome.
They're both retired.
They're both retired. Exactly.
They're both retired.
It's got to be worth something. Exactly. Anyway, so let's dive into the NHL. So what do we have? We have lots happening. What's going on out there?
Well, let's start with Letang signing a 6-year extension at $36.6 million.
36.6? How old is Letang?
I think he's 34.
34?
That's a lot of money. I think so. 34?
For 6 years. Why would you commit to 6 years?
No. He's 35.
So he's even older.
So that means this contract is an over 35 contract, which means they can't even bury it if he fails. The cap is going to be there till the end.
And and I know that he has a terrible time with injuries. So I'm a little surprised that the Burke and the Penguins would go for this. That's odd.
I don't get
it's got to be something to
41.
Now, the only thing I can think of is that his contract is front-loaded because of the fact of his age. He must be front-loaded. Has to be.
It has to be.
I'm sure the details will come out soon.
I'm kind of happy that Montreal they didn't go to free agency and Montreal signed him. If that's the price, that's too much.
$6 million for a 35-year-old defenseman? I don't think so. That's just it's the new NHL, but I'm sorry, I can't justify that kind of money if I'm a GM. But anyway, I'm not a GM. So we have Letang signed up. What else? I'll take a look too to see if there's anything.
We have a trade from the Rangers to the Avalanche, so it sounds like Kemper's headed to free agency.
Yes.
The Avalanche acquired Alexandra Gorgiev for a third-round pick. Yeah, a third-round pick, a fifth-round pick this year, and next year's third-round pick.
Well, that's very interesting that he's doing that. I wonder. Gorgiev never really got much of a chance in New York because, Shesterkin took over, and I think Gorgiev is a fairly capable goalie. I know the Leafs were looking at him briefly. There was lots of talk about them when Campbell went to injury last year, when he had his injury and his issues there. Anyway, they were looking at Gorgiev maybe as a possible mid-season replacement, but they never bit because I think they wanted too much.
I had heard Montreal was interested last year too when Price was down and Allen was down and everyone was down. Right. Personally, I think it is a bit of a risk because his numbers weren't great last year, but the difference is Shesterkin is on a different level and he carried a very young team. Yeah. And then Gorgiev, I don't know, he might be a good goalie, but maybe he can't carry a team like that yet, or the fact that he just didn't get enough playing time and he couldn't get into any groove.
Well, that's very possible. And you know what? That does happen to goaltenders. I mean, it just does.
Well,
I mean, right?
The one thing I find with goaltenders or any player, for example, there is a difference of being in shape and there's a difference of being in game shape.
Right, exactly. And I don't believe Gorgiev was in game shape because his numbers plummeted over the course of the year. I know because I had him. I had him in a draft in a pool, and he did really well. He carried the team while a period of time while the guy was gone. I helped look after his team. Anyway, basically in a nutshell, he carried the team, and then I ended up dropping him once it wasn't necessary. But this last year, he just didn't have it. But again, no playing time, right? You don't have the playing time like Shesterkin. And Shesterkin, just like you said, went to a new level of games.
Okay. That's a very young team, and he carried it. Didn't he win the Vezina? Like, there's a reason.
Did. Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Shesterkin was the winner this year. Yep.
And absolutely. Look at what he did in the playoffs too. His numbers were unreal.
Yes, it was great. And you know what? Shesterkin is an amazing tender. I hope teams that were supposed to pick him up might be kicking themselves now, but either way, doesn't matter. The Rangers have him, and they're going to build around him, and for years to come. So, cool. Mm-hmm. I see here now. It's my turn. I'll take a look around and see, but I do see that a earthquake shockwave of trade just went through the Ottawa area. It looks like the Senators have moved 3 draft choices. So they moved 3 draft choices for Alex DeBrincat from the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, I don't know about, I mean, that trade is unbelievable for the Senators. That guy is a world-class player, up-and-coming superstar, in my opinion. I've watched him play. I've had him again. I've watched him through the pool system. And, I mean, this guy is going to be a star on the rise and, maybe, like I said, a superstar. They only gave up choices. I'm a little surprised that Chicago didn't ask for at least an NHL-ready player plus the draft choices. Because let's be honest, we don't know if draft choices are going to work out, right? I mean, there's no guarantee. I mean, they are going to get a good choice this year in the pick they got. They got the first pick, first round this year, I believe second round this year, and they got the third round next year. So, right. So, what do you think? What's your thoughts?
My biggest concern is, how do you trade a 41 goal scorer for that little when you got a bigger return for Kyle Hagel?
And what was the return for Hagel?
It was 2 first-round picks.
2 firsts. Oh, geez. Okay, yeah, I don't understand that either. That doesn't make sense.
No.
Interesting.
And when I had heard that they were going to move to DeBrincat, they were saying that the conversation starts with 3 first-round picks. I don't know what happened in that document.
Interesting. They dropped their price that much. I don't know. Weird. That's a weird trade. I'm sorry. It's a weird trade. Great for Ottawa. Ottawa fans are going to love this deal. I mean, it's kind of like
talk that there's talk they want to move Kirby Dach too for a top 15 pick.
So they're really going double down in the rebuild thing. They must be. I mean, you're moving your future there. I mean, here's my problem. Why would you give up on these guys? What is wrong with them? Is it just you don't like them? What is wrong with these players? Why would you trade them?
Well, I think DeBrincat, I don't think he wants to stay with a rebuild. He wants to win.
I mean, they all do, but okay.
Yeah. Now with who was it? With Kirby Dach, I find it very surprising. He's only like 21. But he had that wrist injury and wrist surgery, and they don't feel he's coming around.
Well, did you see the hand? Did you see the hand after the injury happened? I nearly got sick when I saw that.
Mm-hmm. And they don't think he can come around, so they want to move him out. But he's only 21.
Interesting. Different. Okay. Chicago. I have respect for the organization in terms of how they're trying to do this rebuild. I mean, there are players I think they should move, like Kane and Taves should be on their way out. I mean, or at least one of them, because you're going to get great value for Kane, but Kane's the guy you probably keep, and you move Taves, but you're not doing it that way, so it'll be very interesting to see how they do it.
I'm curious to see if Kane goes home to Buffalo.
I can see that too. So
he's getting older, and that team's going to be up and coming soon, finally.
Right, okay. Yes. Yes, about time.
After 84 years of rebuild, it's finally there.
As they said, the never-ending rebuild. It just doesn't stop. What do you mean I have to rebuild? Oh, we're rebuilding again. Why? Because we just want to rebuild some more. But we never stop building.
It's all about the build.
It's all about the build, yeah. But no, that's how they do it. That's how people do it. So, anywho, we'll move on. So, let's see. So we have DeBrincat's move from Ottawa. Then we have Letang. Now, what else is out there? Do you see anything that's out there?
Actually, this is quite nice to hear too. Manon Réaume just got hired by the Los Angeles Kings for the hockey ops department and prospect advisor.
So this is a continuation of basically what we talked about in the last episode, part 2 of episode 1. We were talking about how the NHL, like I mentioned, that the NHL, in my opinion, will be the NHL. The league will actually be the one that will do the first GM in female. And you know what? The Maple Leafs also did a move earlier a couple days ago. They brought Haley Wickenheiser up to AGM status as well. So the trend is spreading right across the league, and I'm really happy for Réaume. I mean, I remember her whenever she was big news back in the day there when she was with Tampa and all that. And now, I mean, we were young. I remember
watching that exhibition
14.
game.
I was like 14, I think.
Yeah, I watched that exhibition game.
Yeah, I didn't watch the game, but I do remember seeing her in a Tampa Bay uniform. It was very interesting.
Yeah, I watched that. It was quite cool.
Yeah, they were.
And that was all pushed by Mahovlich, Frank Mahovlich, when he was GM of the when he was GM and president of the Tampa Bay Lightning when they first came out. He pushed that.
Interesting. That's very cool. Good on him. I mean, good on that organization to actually, but that's pretty neat. I'm happy for that. So, okay, yeah. I mean, the trend is continuing, as we said before, and we're saying now again, the trend will continue, and more. I expect more female hirings as the thing goes on. So what else do we have? We have a couple of more minutes we can tackle on this for now. It says here Maple Leafs Dubas. So Kyle Dubas had a presser, and two big things stuck out. One was the fact that he said here, as I quote on MapleLeafsHotStove.com, Leafs News, Kyle Dubas on the possibility of moving out salary. Quote, we're able to move a lot of players if needed for good value. We're in a good spot that way. So that is a huge change for my GM to say that, because this guy bet the farm for the last few years, in my opinion, on his 4 horsemen that he has. And now they're saying that they're willing to maybe move large money if they need to get better. Well, as a Leafs fan, I'm applauding that news. Words, talk is cheap. Words don't mean much unless you have action to back it up. Now, we'll go into that later, but that's one big thing. The other thing that stuck out in his presser, it says just below, the Leafs GM's on contract negotiations with Rasmus Sandin. He is a massive part of our future, quote unquote. That's what he said. He is a massive part of our future. So, Rasmus Sandin, to me, is going to be a Leaf for a long time. I don't see him leaving, as we've talked about before. The team's defense core is getting older, and a guy like Rasmus Sandin has to stay because Giordano is not playing for another 10 years. He's not playing for another 3 years. So, in my opinion, I don't think so. So, why would you let go of a guy like Sandin when, you know what? Yes, he has some flaws, but you know what? He has a lot of upside, and I mean a ton of upside. And as you mentioned in the past, defensemen take a long time to mature.
And when you have a guy like Giordano, that's a great mentor for 2 years.
Right.
Now, going back to what Dubas said, do you think he's been humbled by not being able to get out of the first round, and that's why he's willing to finally move some money?
I think he's been told by the upper half, this is again my thoughts, upper half, that he has to make a change in his philosophy. Okay, now his philosophy has always been small, speedy forwards, high scoring type of teams. His other teams are all the same. And defensemen are important, but at the time they didn't feel as important. And goaltending, if we could we had a stud goalie for 5 years in Frederick Anderson, and that's what we built the team around. Now, is he humbled? Yeah, I think he is to a point. I mean, the man in his clean out presser, whenever Shanahan and him were sitting, they were very adamant that it was not an allegiance to keep all four, or the core four has been dubbed for the last number of years, the core four to stay together. So I think it's progress. The team has to make changes. We've tried 3 or 4 different ways to do this, and unfortunately, we always end up in the same spot, which is out on the sidelines. Now, this year, I will give them a bit of some runway because they did meet up against a very powerful Tampa team, which did go to the final.
Cup finalist.
4 times in the finals, right? This is their 4th time in the final. They lost 2 and won 2. So, I mean, they're dynasty-ish, talks. So anyway, do I fault the Maple Leafs by losing by 1 goal? No, I don't. They gave it their all. They tried, but the Tampa was just that much better in all areas, not just one area, all areas. So I think, to answer your question, yes, he definitely had to be humbled. So I think we'll take a break. That was really cool. And we'll come back in a few minutes, and then we will continue our chat and maybe start going towards the draft time and looking around it, maybe talk about that. We'll also talk about some other stuff that's happening with the NHL. Today will be an NHL show. Again, lots to unpack, lots to talk about, and we will see you shortly. And we're back. So welcome back to our episode 2 for SSL. This is our NHL edition of this show. Lots of news to unpack, as we've talked about earlier segment. And now we're going to be focusing our gears towards the unrestricted free agency market. We're going to go over the top 10 players that are available, or maybe top 15. And then we're also going to talk a little more about the draft. Typhoon may have some news or information regarding that. So if you want, Typhoon, we can talk about a little bit about that first. So what did you just tell me about the draft news there?
Well, Emily Kaplan reported that she saw Jeff Molson meet directly with Yuri Slafkovsky this morning, or this afternoon, I guess, for lunch.
Okay.
The talk is he hasn't been told whether he would be the selection. I think the same process was done with Wright, they said, but they did say that Logan Cooley is now out of the equation. It is down to Slafkovsky and Wright.
Okay. Now, as we've talked about before, let's look at the 2 players quick, and you just give me a quick rundown. So, who would you rather?
I want the centerman. Montreal has needed a centerman for 20 years. I want the centerman. Shane
Wright should be the choice. I agree with that assessment, even though I don't know the Montreal Canadiens super well, but I do believe you guys are weak at the middle, and they need
I would be fine with 2 Nick Suzuki's. Give me 2 Nick Suzuki's all day.
Best player available, right? That's how the draft's supposed to work in the first 10 rounds. So,
right, like you said, right.
10 picks. Exactly. 10 picks. The first 10 picks. Pick the best player in the first 10 picks. And Shane Wright's the best available. So, to me, that's what the Habs choose. We'll see what they do. I think it's going to be a very interesting draft. I think the draft is going to be a very unique draft. There's going to be different players that I think a lot of teams are going to go off board. They're going to have some head scratching going on. People are just not going to. I don't think it's going to flow like a normal draft. And I do believe trades are going to be happening. I don't think it's going to be a quiet.
I think a lot of teams might be building their team now, and free agents might be quiet for some teams.
Yeah, it's possible. I find a lot of teams sign. They already have deals in place before UFA season starts. So, well, as far as they can do it, right, without tampering or whatever. I mean, season's over.
I just want to say, Marc-Olivier Baudin from the French media posted saying, Yuri Slafkovsky saying, "Yeah, I like it here. Fans are crazy. Some are cheering, some are booing. He's already getting booed."
He's already getting booed. Why?
Because Montreal fans want the centerman. They will be livid if they get the winger. I guarantee it.
Well, Zadina or Kakanyemi. Sorry, I had to bring it up, but
Brady Kachuk.
That's the guy. Yeah. So anyway, we won't go down that road. That's old news.
Neither of them. It was Brady Kachuk.
No, Brady Kachuk. It was the wrong choice, but anyway, it doesn't matter.
Don't get me started.
Okay, we're not. Don't piss me off, Ryan. Oh, there's that Twitch again. I remember that Twitch whenever that happened. Anyway, so we'll go into the
certain names too.
Oh, of course I do. I can freely admit that. That's how it goes for me. So, yeah. So, okay. So let's look at the draft. He's not as bad. It's more James Reimer, but anyway.
James Reimer and Paul Maurice.
Paul Maurice. He's going to be going to Florida. I mean, Paul Maurice going to Florida. Let's do that one quick. What do you think of that one? I didn't expect Paul Maurice to coach again. I thought he was going to retire.
I don't see that as the solution. You went from Quenneville to Quenneville's assistant to a guy who's never won in the NHL?
Yeah. I don't even think he was stoned because it was Laviolette who won the cup in Carolina.
He lost his cup final in 2003.
Right, yeah. The one that when Toronto
or 2004 or whatever.
Against
the Canes
Detroit,
went to the finals.
Yeah, they went against Detroit. Yeah. I'll never forget that series.
That was the only time he ever did that. Other than that, he never makes the playoffs until he went to Winnipeg.
Arturs Urbe. That guy.
The only guy who, in his first NHL game, skated to Wayne Gretzky with a hockey guard asking for an autograph.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? That's a good story. Too bad you don't hear about that stuff anymore. I think that'd be awesome. And he signed it.
He was so giddy that he just met
elated.
Wayne Gretzky. Can you sign my card?
But I'm playing against you in a few minutes. I don't care. Where is Arturs Urbe from? Where? What country is he? Is he Slovakian
Latvian.
Or what is he? Latvian.
Latvian.
Okay. What a story. Anyway, okay. UFAs. So UFA season's about to begin, and it's one of my favorite times of the year because that's when teams can change very fast.
Over payday.
Exactly over payday. Usually UFA season starts the same time everybody with their front-loaded contracts gets their massive chunk of money. I'll never forget hearing the story of Matthews when he got his first one. He comes down. Apparently, this is the story. He comes downstairs, and they all had kind of a bunch of people there. He was asleep. Comes half downstairs. Now, I think this is what happened. I heard this as what happened. He came downstairs, comes around the corner. Everyone's cheering and all. He goes, "What's the matter?" He goes, "Well, it's UFA Day today. It's Canada Day, right?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, you just got your first portion of your money." Oh, okay. Well, he walks off. I don't know.
It was $20 million.
It was it was $30 million. Or I forget. It was 20 million, I think. Yeah, it was a lot of money. It was a large chunk of physical money from his contract because Toronto super front loaded it. Anyway, I think that's what I heard about.
Bonus. It's all signing bonus.
Yeah, that's all it is. That's what they always do. So anyway, I heard that story once, and I think that's true. I could see that happening, but anyway. So we have a number of players. I'm going to run them off quickly, and you give me your quick thought of where you think they'll go. Do you think they're going to stay, or do you think they're going to go to somewhere else, or maybe where they're going to go? So we'll start with Malkin. Big Gino Malkin. Where do you think? Pittsburgh or elsewhere?
He'll stay in Pittsburgh, or he's going to go, I think, play with his buddy, Ovi.
Washington? Oh, boy. Talk about a coup. That's that'll be interesting.
Happens all the time though with those two teams.
Well, if Backstrom's finished with his hip, he needs someone with him, and he'd be a good center to replace him.
I think if you're not going to pay Malcolm what he wants, he's going to leave.
Well, the chatter is that's what the problem. Yeah, I think the Penguins don't want to pay him. That's my humble opinion.
Especially when you just gave $36.6 million for 6 years to Letang.
Wow. Point final right there.
Question mark?
Yeah, interesting. Very peculiar. Anyway, PK Subban, Devils or
I
elsewhere?
don't know
I think
if
he's.
I don't I don't know if anyone takes him. To be honest, I
I
think he's
think
done.
so.
His
I don't think
his
so.
back is ruined. His back is ruined.
Is his back? I don't know his injury status. I just know that he's
It's
number 2
it's
on
his
the cap friendly list. So
it's his back. That's why he lost his skating after he hurt his back.
I know what that's like with back
The
injuries.
only thing I can see maybe is he gets a 1-year filler job, maybe back in Montreal, cheap if he signs cheap. But I don't even see that.
I don't think the Leafs will take him either. They don't want the, and I don't know if he's still trouble. He's 33 years old. He's another RD, which we don't need. So I don't see him coming to Toronto. And he was a -8
He's
last year.
he was only good when he can skate. When he lost his ability to skate, that was it.
Yeah, no, I think he's a fading star, unfortunately. Claude Giroux,
Happens.
number 3. Claude Giroux. Do you think he's going to Ottawa, or do you think he's going to go to a big American city?
He's going to Ottawa. He's going home. He just bought a
Senators.
mansion in Ottawa. He
Did?
just bought a mansion back home. He's going home.
Okay. Well, that'll enhance the Senators by quite a bit if they get Giroux, and now they have DeBrincat. I mean,
And they're pushing for
wow.
Mackenzie Weegar right now.
Yes,
from what
I
I heard.
spotted that on the TSN feed here. They're saying that they're really looking at Uyghur. Interesting,
And
Mackenzie.
he's
Uyghur.
he's also an Ottawa area guy. I believe his family owns that garage off Highway 31.
Couldn't tell you. Now, Uyghur, is he goaltender, or I know he's a defenseman, isn't he? Or
Defenseman.
defenseman. Yeah, he's a defenseman.
Solid defenseman.
I keep thinking of Drieger, the goaltender. That's the problem. But he's in Seattle, so
yes. Yeah. I think they're looking still for a partner to help out Shabbat, because they've never been able to find a guy to fit with Shabbat.
Claude Giroux will help. So,
well, I meant defenseman wise for Mackenzie.
Oh, sorry, Mackenzie Weegar. Okay,
yeah.
Okay,
but Giroux, you can't go wrong. Second center, third center, whatever. He's still putting up point per game.
Right. Patrick Laine. Oh, sorry, not Patrick Laine. That's Patrick Laine. Okay, we'll go with that one.
Well,
number 5.
He's an RFA. He's an RFA,
yeah.
But I don't know who wants a guy like that. He seems to be always wanting out.
I think he's a pain to play for, like as in to coach and to help. And
I think
along.
He sounds like a prima donna, to be honest.
No, I don't disagree. I mean, he's had ample time to really become a powerhouse, and Matthews blew right by him, and he's not. I think he's in his own head too much, and that's his problem.
He was great for 3 years, and then where to go? Like, you don't just lose that. What happened? It's not like he was injured.
No, he just his own worst enemy. Maybe, I don't know. Hard to say.
I have heard though he has. I have heard he has a gaming issue, and he stays up.
Yes, I've heard of that. Yes, there was a few players on the Maple Leafs organization that also had gaming issues, and now they're not part of the Maple Leafs organization anymore. So, yeah. All right, so that was number 5. Sorry that I skipped over that, but number 4 is Phil Kessel. Now that is an interesting one. To me, he's interesting because the guy has 30 goals in him easily for another.
I'm gonna say this, and you're gonna laugh, but you're probably gonna see it like me. I could see him going to a team like Tampa.
Yep, he wants to win again. He went to Pittsburgh,
and
you got 2 out of there. So no, I don't see that.
What a great add to the top 9 for that team.
Let's say, if they can sign Palat, and if they can sign the guys they need to sign, and they have some money extra. Sure, because they just moved McDonough to Nashville. So they've opened up some money. So obviously they have other players they can't keep. So I don't see Maroon staying unless Maroon signed an extra
Paul's already
year
signed.
or 2.
Maroon signed for 1 more year. Paul's already signed for 7 years on a great
Paul
contract.
was another big contract that just happened a couple of days ago. Yep.
What a sweet deal for Paul.
Nick
21
Paul?
million over 7 years?
Yeah, 21 million, and he gets to stay in Florida
for 7 years.
In his prime of his career, and it's a tax-free state. Win. So, okay, so number 6. We'll get moving along there. Number 6, Matthew Kachuk. Now, I'm stunned that this guy is even on this thing. I would have locked him up a long time ago.
Well, there's talk that
Has to be something wrong.
I heard yesterday that Gaudreau was offered an 8-year, $9.65 million contract.
Yes, I read the same.
Now, if that happens, Kachuk is definitely gone. They can't afford him.
Yeah, but Calgary's facing similar issues to my team.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not enough cap space.
To me, I would have signed Kachuk before Gaudreau any day because of age and size for two things.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Kachuk's the guy. Kachuk's a power star.
I have heard that Ottawa has kicked tires to bring in Matthew. Could you imagine the brothers being together?
Now, that would be an interesting duo, and I could see that actually happening.
That'd be scary. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that will be scary, yes.
Stützle and the Kachuks?
Why does it always have to happen to our division? Why do these guys come to our division?
And then you have on the next line, you got Norris and DeBrincat.
Yeah, Norris and DeBrincat now.
Oh my goodness.
And Hagel. Or no, Hagel. No, not Hagel.
No. But I'm just saying, like, that's 5 of their top 6.
Wow.
Scary.
Crazy. Just crazy, man. Let's see if that happens. But next one is, now this one's the one I think is going to happen, and I think this deal's already done, but Marc-Andre Fleury. I think he's going to Toronto.
I have heard Toronto. As he said, he was willing to sign a 2-year deal there. I've also heard that Toronto kicked tires for Murray, but I don't know.
No. Well,
I hope not.
I'll be very upset. I will be very upset if he comes to Toronto Murray. Fleury, on the other hand, I would be very happy about.
2 homes for Fleury. I think it's the Leafs or the Pens.
Yeah, you could go back to the Pens, which I've heard on multiple sources and stuff I've listened to on the web. They've all said either the Pens or the Leafs are pretty much the front runners. Now,
and I've heard that he wants to go to Penguins to retire.
Right. Now, here's the other thing that's interesting about him. A lot of fans I was reading are stating that he has said that he never wants to play for a Canadian team.
I don't think that's true.
I don't know.
I've heard many stories where he'd love to come to Montreal, and I even heard stories where last year, if Price was actually done, there was already a deal in place to bring Fleury to Montreal, and he had already waived to go. So I don't believe that.
No, I don't either. Well, time will tell.
He's a guy who wants to win, and he's going to go where you have a chance to win. Toronto's biggest hole is goaltending. He can fill that void. He can fill that void.
He will bridge the gap.
You got 65 games out of that guy every year, easily.
Yep. And he's just good. He's just a good goaltender. He's been great his whole career. Yes, he had a few dips at the beginning, but you know what? The guy's got a few cups under his belt, and and he's just quality. He's a winning pedigree. That's the way I look at it. Winning pedigree.
When you come into the NHL as a goalie at 18 years old, how much success are you expecting as a team?
Well, this is it. And Pittsburgh back then was not a good team back then. They were still dealing with the Lemieux. Lemieux was done. Yager was gone, or Yager was almost gone, and he was at the end of his time there.
Yager was gone by then.
Yeah, they were gone, so they didn't even have Crosby yet, I don't think.
Fleury came 3 years before Crosby.
Yeah, that's right. So he was there long before. So they were kind of in that no man's land.
Yeah. They had Old Man Mario, Old Man Stevens.
All broken up and all that. So Patrice Bergeron, number 8.
He's staying in
Boston.
Boston
or retirement?
Boston or retire.
I think retire. I think he's done.
I've heard they've already got a contract in place that he's willing to sign, like just like a 1 or 2 year or something. But it's Boston or retire. He's not going anywhere else. He doesn't care about winning. He cares about his home.
He's won. He's won, and he's got all the money in the world. He's a Selke 5-time. No one can touch his Selke stuff for now. He's good.
First ballot Hall of Famer.
He's going to the Hall of Fame as soon as he can, 4 years from now. So
he might even get waived to go in faster.
He should. He's the best in the business in centerman. I respect the guy. I don't care for his team, but I respect the player.
He is today's Bob Gainey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's a great player. Great to watch. I mean, yes, he's Boston. I don't like Boston, but you know what? I've always choose him in my draft pools when I can. He's always was
I'll
always a choice if I had the option over him or someone else. Usually, he was a choice. So
I clearly am a big Boston hater, but I admire that man.
that's right. We both are the same idea. We both dislike Boston immensely, but that's okay. We're all Northeastern or whatever division that we are now. I forget the name, but anyway, that's where we all are. So makes it fun, right? It's all for the fun. I think it's fun. Johnny Gaudreau, number 9.
I don't know who's. I I really don't know.
You want to know who I'm going to throw this flyer out here? Not the Flyers,
Sure.
but the flyer who I think, and it's going to be a weird one. Vegas.
I could see it.
Vegas. They will move some. They're going to take some of that Weber money, and they're going to go get him. You watch.
I could see it. I don't see him as a fit anywhere personally. Like,
he's going to a money team. He's going to go to the Rangers, Vegas, or the Maple Leafs, or even Montreal, Montreal.
I've heard Jersey's interested. They have $25 million in cap.
Noise, but Jersey's making no.
$25 million in cap. They have a lot of spending.
Oh, and the Avs too. Don't forget them. The Avalanche could get him because they have money too. Because they still have guys to sign. They have young fellas coming up, or they have them in their minor system or in their bottom 6, like Newhook and all those guys. But you could add a Gaudreau to the Avalanche if they want. But I still think, I don't know if Georgiev's the answer for their goaltending.
I think they're going with a tandem this year.
Well, they won. They won with Kemper and who they had with
Francouz.
Yeah, but the thing
I think it's a Georgiev Francouz tandem this next season.
Yeah. A number of suitors. So I say for Johnny Hockey, I say Vegas number 1, Rangers number 2, Avs are in there somewhere, and even Montreal. I think Montreal and Jersey are in the kind of the same round. But I do believe your team may take a stab at him too, as for a building block. But I don't know if they would go to a team that would be starting at 0 again. But I think he'd be a great player for Montreal. He fits the mold. He's fast and he's a skilled forward, and he's just got to get money. You don't have to pay any players. You don't have to pay any draft picks to get him. So
I
don't know.
I don't know if Montreal's. I don't know what Montreal's going to do right now. We only have 1.9 million in cap because Price is coming back next year, from what I heard.
Well, again, he's going to be the wild card. So, last one, Alexandra Rajalov, your former player.
Back to Russia. I think he's already signed.
Has he? Okay, yeah. So this list could be old. I'm not sure, but it shows here that he's still available.
I believe he's got a contract in place, and I believe he's going back to Russia.
His cap hit before was 6.25, but his actual salary, according to this, was 4.6.
Yeah, it was front loaded.
Absolutely. So, interesting list this year. We'll see where these guys go. It'll be very, very questionable to see where they're going to go and who's going to take who. And again, it's my favorite season. So, but I think we're going to take a break here now. When we come back, we'll look more at the draft, as in the draft is approaching. We're less than 30 minutes away, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes. And we're back. Welcome back to the show. So in this moment, we're going to be talking a little Leaf talk. Last episode, we talked Habs with Typhoon. So it's his turn now to pose me some questions and maybe a few things I'd like, my vision of what I think the team should do, or where they're going to go, or what they're going to do this draft, or whichever. So Typhoon, what do you think? What do you got?
Well, yeah, let's start with what direction do you think your team's going in right now?
Well, the Maple Leafs, as we all saw in this playoff, they were a great season team. I liked how they played overall. They got better as the season went along. Did they get shortchanged a little bit in the playoffs? Of course, they met up with the best team, as we said earlier, in the league. 4-time Stanley Cup finalist team, plus 2 winning. I think the Maple Leafs need to make a change. I don't believe that the Maple Leafs current core, there's something missing. I said this in another video a while back. I'll say it again. I think the Leafs are missing a key piece. They're missing an edgy, tough, kind of winger in that top six that can make issues with other players and other teams. Now, who that player may be, like his skill level has to be high. It has to be fast, but he has to be big and like upset whenever he plays. Now, I don't know who that could be. There's defensemen like Radko Gudas, for instance. He would be a guy. He's not a forward, and but I also think maybe I don't know. There's a ton of different players, but definitely, like I was just reading here, Mangiapane might be an option. That would be something to look at. They'd have to make a trade, and I do believe that William Nylander, as much as I like William Nylander, he's just not exactly the playoff guy we need, because we have lots of scoring. We can get the goals out of Marner. We can get the goals out of Tavares. We can get the goals out of Matthews. Nylander plays when he wants, and then he decides sometimes, well, back checking, not really interested. And in the playoffs, you have to have a complete game, in my opinion. And I find he doesn't have as much of a complete game in the playoffs. Regular season, but even in the regular season, he's been known for that. A couple of times he's been called out, even by Coach Keefe about it. He's called out. So he's probably the guy that would likely to move because his contract's very friendly to the NHL. Someone will absolutely take him. But if they can replace him with even a Josh Anderson from Montreal. Josh Anderson is a fast skater. He's tough. He can get in the corners. We talked about that last episode. I thought of him, and I know that Dubas had an actual real interest of him before he went to Montreal. So that's possible.
I remember actually a few years ago for Josh Anderson, there was reported trade talks between Toronto and Columbus and Montreal and Columbus at that time when he was a free agent, when he was an RFA at the time.
That's right. No, there was a big deal was going to happen, but something didn't happen. Something didn't get going. And
the price was too high, I think, at the time.
Yeah. Toronto had to give up, I think, Sandin, or it was like Sandin or some high-end prospector, Matthew Nyes, or I don't think Matthew Nyes was drafted yet. It was another player.
No.
Like Nick Robertson.
I think it was Sandin or
Liljegren,
I think.
Yeah, they just had to give up a player that they just couldn't part with. So
and as you said about playoff floaters, you know what? We have fans know all about that. We had one ourselves, Max Pacioretty. The guy was a great season player. When it came to playoffs, his eyes went cross-eyed.
And you can't have that. I'm sorry. You can't have that in the playoffs. You got to have a complete game. You have to have a complete or all-around guy. And they just didn't, unfortunately,
those two guys, their biggest problem is they sit and wait for the puck. In the playoffs, you can't do that. Everything's closed. There's no space. You got to be forechecking all the time. And I think you guys, that's why, like, in my opinion, Toronto needs a guy like a Dylan Dubé or a Mangiapane. Those are the type of players they need, but that would cost a lot to get, I think, because I don't think
you'd have to give up. You'd have to give up players. You'd have to give up some quality to get quality, right? That's how it goes. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they can do that.
Mangiapane, who can fight.
Right.
The guy Mangiapane can fight and score 30 goals.
Now, the guy I want Toronto to get is Ryan Strome from the New York Rangers. Okay, he would be. I know he's going to cost some money, but he would be a huge upgrade over Kerfoot. And Kerfoot is an excellent player in terms of that he can pretty much play up and down the lineup, which is awesome. But you can't, like, their third line has always been, like, their second line was abysmal at times last year. It took a long time for that second line to get going in the playoffs. It took them almost, 6 games? 5 to 6 games before that line started to click. The first 3 games, they didn't exist. They didn't do anything. People were all over Tavares on Facebook and all the socials. Everybody was on Nylander. Like, where is these guys? Why aren't they playing? What happened in the season? Same old stuff, right? And then what happens, it's almost like Toronto, like Pierre Engvall. Pierre Engvall had a great season. Makayev, we'll talk about him in a minute because I want to go about him. Makayev, same problem. all like it's great you scored empty net goals, Makayev, but we need real first line goals, like when it counts. Like like when we're down 2-1 in Game 7, where are you? Like that's stuff you have to score, and our secondary scoring, unfortunately, was just not good enough, and they need to change it. But unfortunately,
it dried up fast.
But it's been a merry-go-round with the Maple Leafs for about what? At least 3 years now. We've been dealing with this no third line problem, or this lack of, and I think it comes down to the lack of money available to improve your team. That's what I gather. It's you front loaded the money. What do we do? Right? You can't keep filling these $800,000 players. Like you need quality, $2 to $3 million guys all across the line. That's like, look at Tampa. They had that. That's what they had across the system. Anyway, I think that's what they're going to do. Now, Makayev, I'll talk about Makayev and then the goaltending, and then I think we'll have to wrap up the show soon because we're getting close to time there. But Makayev, he's a great skater. Beautiful. Probably, I think, one of the fastest skaters in the league, if not the actually the fastest skater. Great player. In terms of overall, he's a good player. But do you think the Maple Leafs should pay $6 million or $5.5 million that he's looking for, which has been reported that's what he's looking for a guy that I honestly got 2 empty net goals in Game 4, and that's it? That's he didn't do a whole lot in the playoffs. I just see another Zach Hyman. I mean, Zach Hyman had a decent playoff this year. He was good, but he's also with 2 of the best players in the world. So, like, I could be with him, and I could look great. And I'm not a hockey player, so
Mario Lemieux made Phil Bourque look like a star. Just saying.
Exactly. Matt Sundin make Jonas Hoagland look like a superstar. Like the list goes on and on, right? Like, what do you call it? Points by accident? Is that what you keep saying? That's one of your statements there.
Yeah.
Points by accident.
Well, Mario Lemieux used to tell his line mates, just keep your stick on the ice and I'll get you the puck.
Yeah, I'll get it. That's right. I've heard that one many times. So,
and
so
he
I
would.
think, and he does. That's the funny thing. He just does it. He just did it. He was just that good. But
Kevin
anyway,
Stevens was a 50-goal scorer with Mario.
Of course.
He didn't score more than 15 on any other team.
It's Mario. Mario's he's the best of the best. He's one of the, as far as I liked him a little more than Gretzky. I like Mario. Fortunately, the era he played in later on and his health, unfortunately, we all saw it happen. It was a shame what happened to him. But anyway, that's another story. But Makayev, I just can't stomach $5.5 million for a guy that he was a 26-year-old rookie, or he was a very older rookie from Russia. For that, when Bunting got 63 points, yes, he's with Matthews, but 63 points, and he's the same age, or around the same age, or maybe a little younger.
Makayev played with Matthews too. He never produced like that.
No, I'm sorry. Let him go. Just let him go. It's okay. We'll find someone else who gets 12 goals or 15 goals. We can pay him $900,000 and still get the same production. Now, one more thing.
I personally think Makayev is a top 9 forward, not even a top 6. Yeah. And if you're paying a top 9 forward, if you're paying a top 9 forward over 4.5, that's too much.
Very much so. And the other thing is, quickly, he just didn't pan out whenever they needed him the most. So Jack Campbell, that's a story in itself. Quick version. Is he worth $6 million? I don't think so. Did he have a good playoff? Yeah, he had a good playoff. He kept Toronto in the game. He did. He had let's be fair. He kept up with like both goaltenders in that series weren't spectacular. They were spectacular when they had to be, but they weren't spectacular over the whole court. I mean, they put 24 goals against Vaz. Okay, no other team. I don't think even the Avalanche didn't do that much. I think the Avalanche were just, a couple goals below Toronto. But anyway, Vaz was just a little better. That was the difference in that series. But that's the point. He was a little better, and yet again, Campbell wasn't. So do we do
Vaz
this again?
Was a closer.
Vaz is a closer, and that's the difference. That's why you pay a guy like that kind of money. He is the best in the business.
Campbell had 2 chances.
Yeah, 3. He had 3 chances to close. They were up 3-2, or 2 chances.
Well, that's what I mean.
Right.
That
yes, 2 chances.
But in 2 years, he's had 5. He's
Exactly.
0 for 5.
He's 0 for 5, and it hurts to see that. But the thing is, I can't see the Maple Leafs, and this is the stat I saw in one of the videos I watched. Quickly, they said that should the Maple Leafs pay $6 million for 19 wins and a 901 or a 905 save percentage? No. They won 19 games with a playoff percentage, a winning percentage of that. They paid $1.6 million for that. Do you think they want to pay $6 million for the same numbers? No, they don't need
NHL
to.
Average.
You could no, that's not playoff goaltending.
That's below
win
NHL
with those
average.
Numbers. Yeah. Anyway,
you need a 916 to be average.
Yeah, it's exactly the save percentage is the big number now. So should they
It's
sign
not
him?
about
No,
goals
not
against
that
anymore.
money. They can go and get Marc-Andre Fleury for $2 million, and he'll do the job and maybe even help them win. Who knows? I honestly, the last thing about that, go and get, and it's going to sound a little wild, get Fleury, go get Holtby. Get them both. Get rid of Mrazek, put them on Robidas Island or buy him out or whatever you got to do. Ship him out. Get rid of his contract. I don't care if they have to eat $1 million for 6 years. Who cares? It's Maple Leafs. They have money coming out every direction. So go and get Holtby and go and get a guy like Fleury and run with those two for this season. I have a feeling that would be a nice tandem, and I think they would be very good.
Well, my closing words to you is if you're going to give $6 million to a goalie, I would give it to Fleury before Campbell any day of the week.
And you know what? I concur with that. Absolutely. And I think on that note, I think we're going to end the show here. The draft is about to begin in 5 minutes. We have to get ready. So I want to thank you, Typhoon. This was fun as usual. Just keep on trucking with this. And if anybody wants to watch,
guys soon.
Yes, we'll be on Facebook Live and we'll be in our groups. And we'll obviously post that on YouTube. Feel free to hit subscribe, hit the like button to our episode, and feel free to hit the little bell button to notify you when we have new episodes. So thank you very much, and thanks for watching.